Welcome to our Spanish alphabet tutorial. In this video, we will teach you how to pronounce each letter of the Spanish alphabet. Let's begin with the letter A. In Spanish, the letter A is pronounced as A. Next, we have the letter B. In Spanish, the letter B is pronounced as B. Moving on to the letter C. In Spanish, the letter C is pronounced as CE. Now let's learn about the letter D. In Spanish, the letter D is pronounced as D. Next, we have the letter E. In Spanish, the letter E is pronounced as A. Moving on to the letter F. In Spanish, the letter F is pronounced as Ifi. Now let's learn about the letter G. In Spanish, the letter G is pronounced as GE. Next, we have the letter H. In Spanish, the letter H is silent, so it is not pronounced. Moving on to the letter I. In Spanish, the letter I is pronounced as E. Now let's learn about the letter J. In Spanish, the letter J is pronounced as Jota. Next, we have the letter K. In Spanish, the letter K is pronounced as Ka. Moving on to the letter L. In Spanish, the letter L is pronounced as LA. Now let's learn about the letter M. In Spanish, the letter M is pronounced as Im. Next, we have the letter N. In Spanish, the letter N is pronounced as In. Moving on to the letter N. In Spanish, the letter N is pronounced as Enye. Now let's learn about the letter O. In Spanish, the letter O is pronounced as O. Next, we have the letter P. In Spanish, the letter P is pronounced as P. Moving on to the letter Q. In Spanish, the letter Q is pronounced as CU. Now let's learn about the letter R. In Spanish, the letter R is pronounced as Ir. Next, we have the letter S. In Spanish, the letter S is pronounced as Ese. Moving on to the letter T. In Spanish, the letter T is pronounced as T. Now let's learn about the letter U. In Spanish, the letter U is pronounced as U. Next, we have the letter V. In Spanish, the letter V is pronounced as V. Moving on to the letter W. In Spanish, the letter W is pronounced as Uvdoble. Now let's learn about the letter X. In Spanish, the letter X is pronounced as Equi. Next, we have the letter Y. In Spanish, the letter Y is pronounced as Y. Moving on to the letter Z. In Spanish, the letter Z is pronounced as Zeta. That concludes our Spanish alphabet tutorial. We hope you found it helpful. Practice these pronunciations and soon you'll be able to read and speak Spanish with confidence. Hasta luego!